Hey there, Internet. Welcome to the Hard On Gear channel, where I discuss and review my used and abused knives and gear. There are not a lot of knives left in my collection that I've yet to do a video on, but the Cold Steel, Bird and Game is one of those knives. I've had this knife in a few different videos, just very briefly, maybe like a fixed blade collection video or my whole knife collection video, a few things like that, and then featured it here and there just as maybe a size comparison early on before I had too many different knives to use as the channel was beginning. But I haven't used this knife since I got it about 2.5 years ago or so. It's been sitting in my visor up in my car just as kind of an emergency knife, the way it sat there. Having the ring fully visible and available to me at any point in time kind of seemed like a good idea. I was able to reach it with either hand, assuming I could reach over my head. And if for some reason I couldn't reach the knives in my pocket or just needed another option, this was kind of there for whatever reason it might need, or I might need. But anyways, this now is going to be something I might give a try around my neck, because neck knifing is something I am not familiar with as far as my own uses and carrying experience. Why not give it a go? Give me a little bit more of an idea as to why people are so into it, because I've just found it a little bit annoying. And as far as different applications, as far as defensive or stuff like that, I just don't like the idea, especially as a grappler, of the knife swinging around the back of my neck and all over the place and not really knowing where it is. Kind of rather have it fixed at a certain location on my hip or wherever, so that I can grab it when needed in a certain situation where that might actually be super important to be able to get that out in a hurry. So the neck knife, we'll see how that goes. The sheath that it comes with is the Securex little plastic sheath. They're not the best, but they're certainly not the worst. Better than a lot of crap you'll get. Cold Steel's a pretty reliable company, but they certainly do not spend a ton of money on these Securex sheaths. Now, this stuff is made in Taiwan. I'm assuming the sheath as well, although I've never checked. Oh, actually Japan, the Japan factory for this one here, because it is an AUS 8. I think most of the AUS 8 steel, as it is Japanese steel. Budget Japanese steel, mind you. I'm not trying to make it sound fancy, but that comes out of the Japanese factory. They have the Taiwan factory, and then they also have the USA factory. So the Bird and Game is slightly larger than the Trout and Fish and Bird and Trout. I'm going to pop it up on the screen because I really can't remember, but whatever the slightly larger or smaller one is, rather, it's got a straight handle with the retention ring centered as opposed to being down towards the bottom of the bladed edge of the knife. But I kind of prefer this one as far as just the grip and ergonomics and the usability. I'll pick the other one up at some point. It's not that expensive, and I'll do a little versus video between the two of them. But I want to give this guy a little try first, because I've had it for so long and not given it a fair shake. But yeah, nothing but good things to say about it for its size and the price, which is only about $30 Canadian or something in the ballpark of that. So somewhere's between $20 and $40, almost no matter where you live, you'll be able to get this Cold Steel Bird and Game knife. The sheath only comes with the chain, as you see here, but there's all kinds of holes and all kinds of different options if you wanted to create some kind of a belt sheathing system out of paracord. Say you wanted to just kind of loop it through those little eyelets, and yeah, the possibilities are endless. And then of course there's different mounting options I'm sure you could rig up with this thing. I don't know if the Ulti clips or Tech locks are going to line up with any kind of holes here, but there's definitely custom sheath options, and then just mounting it to different mounting platforms that I may not know about. I'm sure people can comment down below if you have any ideas of how you might mount this thing with something other than paracord or this chain. Feel free to let us know down below. But neck knifing will be the carry of choice for me for the next little bit, just to try it out. I'm still going to have another fixed blade on me because I don't really want to be pulling this out of my combats, out of my work clothing, and just kind of looking a little bit foolish, because believe it or not, most military and even infantry do not wear neck knives and crazy combat knives and hauling out like karambit ring things spinning around and stuff. Pretty much just me and a couple other knife nerds out there, but just try not to attract too much attention to yourself will be one of the best pieces of advice I can give you. And pulling knives out of your shirt kind of makes you a bit of a heat score, so try and avoid that. And that's what I'm going to be trying to do, is just keeping this hidden, just kind of incognito. This will kind of look like I'm just wearing my dog tags, although it's a black chain, not a silver one. Anywho, this is what we're looking at for one of my knives of the week in this upcoming Knife of the Week video on Friday. So if you want to see the conclusion of kind of what I end up thinking of this thing overall, feel free to check that one out. For right now, let's just kind of look at some knife comparisons, see some different EDC fixed blades that might compare in size, so you get a ballpark idea of what we're at. So that's the IZULA 2, as I'm sure you all know. And the Top Smell Spy Elite below it, so it's about the same size, if not a little shorter than the Top Smell Spy Elite. A little bigger than the IZULA 2. Gonna bring in the Gerber Ghost Strike, which is another super thin, low profile knife, even with the Ghost Strike sheath, which is super thin and super stealthy and super tiny. These are two knives that if you were in one of those weird places where you're not supposed to have big overt knives on you, you could probably slip these in a pretty covert spot and get away with it. But again, within legal parameters and all that stuff, I'm sure you guys can do your own research, and I'm not suggesting you do anything that would break the laws and wherever you live. Self-defense-y stuff is not legal in Canada or a lot of other places, unfortunately. So just wait and call the cops and stand there and ask the bad guys to politely not assault or attack or rob you or murder you while you wait. Anywho, Ghost Strike and the Bradford Guardian 3 for a couple good size comparisons, because they're right about the same size, and again, super ultra popular EDC fixed blade and the Bradford Guardian 3. So yeah, really nice size comparisons there, if I don't say so myself. Pat on the back if you didn't miss that. But there's the CRKT Minimalist, one of my only other neck knives. I haven't used it too much because I need to reshape the sheath a little bit. The Kydex sheath, since I purchased this knife, has always been a little bit loose. And you know, man, sometimes I think it'd be okay to try, but if this thing ever came out in the wrong time, it got like, you know, impaled in my guts or something, I'd just rather not. That Warncliffe blade is plenty capable of doing all kinds of damage. We'll see if this knife gets some use once I finally, one of these days, try and tighten that sheath up a little bit. But yeah, that's the Minimalist from CRKT. Still quite a bit smaller than the Burden Game from Cold Steel. But it doesn't get much tinier than this freaking Minimalist knife. Let's bring the Garber up. I haven't seen this guy in a while. He's been hanging out in the background, haven't been doing as much bushcraft lately, which is funny because, you know, Army, infantry, you'd think so. But yeah, mostly learning and classroom and other stuff. So the Garberg is one of the best knives that I could ever suggest for a one and done fixed blade for the bush. If you want to do a lot of camping and bushcraft and that sort of thing, it's just awesome. Maybe you don't even need this. You're probably just fine with the more companions for like 20 bucks. But if you want to go full tang with the full big deal Mora Garberg, not a lot of bad reviews about this guy, except for why do you need that when you can just use a $20 Mora? I get it. They're all good. Moras are great. Preference, go with what you want. So why don't we just look at a couple of folding knives, and why not start with the Rat Model 1 and the Rat Model 2. One of these knives, by the way, is going to be in my folding knife slot in my pocket this coming week. So take a guess, Rat Model 1 or 2. Feel free to comment down below. Do you think it's going to be the little guy or the big guy going in as my main folder for this week? Neither of these, by the way, have been EDC'd by me any amount of time. Super popular, the Rats. Just too normal, generic, vanilla for me. But we're going to give one of them a go for an entire freaking week. One of the benefits of the Knife of the Week series is it is kind of forcing me to rotate my knives weekly and put some knives in my pocket that I just have been neglecting. Last two size comparisons, couple of Spydercos, Paramilitary 2, and the Delica. Yeah, Delica is almost identical in size. There's another nice size reference for you. If you have ever handled a Delica, or if you own a Delica, fully extended, what is this? Opened, I guess, opened or closed. I don't know why I said fully extended. It's not a buttstock or a telescope, but the Delica is about as perfect of a size comparison as you can get. Burden Game, let's see how you fare this week. Aus-8 steel, about what? 7 inches or so in total length with like a just under 4-inch blade length. This isn't a review. I'm sure you can check the specs. Maybe I'll even flash a little spec sheet up there for you at some point. But one day, once I get some more experience with the Burden Game, I'll do a full review, give you the specs, the weights, the stats, what it smells like, everything you could possibly want to know. Until that time, feel free to check out the reviews or unboxings or all kinds of fun videos for pretty much every knife you've seen on the table today, I'm sure. Until next time, or until those videos, this is the Hard On Gear channel, signing off.